Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Vandy, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. It's Monday night. That means it is time for Braid School. If you're new to class, our first 100 episodes of Braid School covered all of our basics in braiding. And now we are in our Becoming a Better Braider series to not only help aspiring braiders fine-tune their skills, both technically and business-wise, but to also help potential clients find the best braider for their needs. Before we get started, let's make sure we acknowledge the correct answers from our last video's pop quiz. If you'd like a chance to be featured in next week's video, make sure you stay tuned to the end of today's video so you can participate in this week's pop quiz. As always, I'm here to answer your questions and demo them for you if you need. So make sure you drop any questions that you have in the comment section below, or you can click the link in the description box below so that you can leave a question anonymously. We've got a couple of questions to demo tonight, so grab your notes and let's get started. Our first question was a tutorial ask for a short that we uploaded earlier this week. The style that was demonstrated was actually a knotless style full goddess, meaning that there were curls fed into the ends and at the top of the hair to give it a much fuller look. Goddess braids was actually one of the services that I really did not like to do, but it has become a very popular style and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So I think the more that I got used to doing it, the more that I enjoyed doing it, and also finding ways to make it a lot easier to do the install process. So in this particular example, I was able to do this full head of small knotless in less than 5 hours. So what I'm going to show you tonight is from beginning to end, the products and tools that you're going to need, how to install each braid, and products that you'll need for maintenance. Now starting off, you're going to need your basic products like your braiding gel of choice, your parting comb, preferably something with a precision tip, and some clips so that you can clip the hair out of the way. You're going to need braiding hair. For a full head, I would suggest getting 2 packs just to be on the safe side. This is my favorite brand of choice. As you guys know, it is the easiest to work with and it's going to give you the sleekest finish possible. Then for the curly hair, you'll want to use some kind of crochet hair. So this is the crochet hair of choice. Been this way for so many years. I've been using Freetress since I was in high school, so that's how long they've been around. I like to use the deep twist because the curl pattern is a lot more manageable than most other curl patterns, and the hair is a lot easier to pull apart. For a full head, if you want goddess curls at the top and the bottom, I would suggest getting 2 packs of these in whatever color you choose. If you're only going to do the ends, or if you're just putting the curls at the top of the braids, then you should only need about 1 pack. To keep the braids from unraveling, if you have the curls at the ends, what we used to do is just tie them very tightly, but then we'd have to add a little bit of nail glue to the tie because the hair is so silky, it does not hold the tie very well, so it will come undone. Also, with synthetic braiding hair or crochet hair, you cannot dip the hair so that you can lock the knot in, because if you dip this, it's going to change the curl pattern. It's going to straighten this hair out, and we don't want to do that. Now, if you're interested in human hair, you might want to go back a couple of videos ago where I go into great detail on how human hair works as far as what to choose and how to install it. But for today, we're going to just do the traditional synthetic goddess braids. And like I was saying, we used to use a little bit of nail glue to seal everything up, but now I have switched over to my wrap and tap method, which does require pencil flat iron. Please excuse this one. It has been through the trenches. I would not recommend it, but it does get up to 460 degrees, and you are going to want to get this up to at least 450 degrees for this method to work. To help speed things along, I would highly recommend pre-portioning and pre-sectioning out the hair before you get started. This is an actual client that I prepped for later on in this week, but to get through the process faster, preparing the hair in advance saves so much more time. Now all that's left to do is to just braid the hair. In this case, we're going to do a knotless braid, but you can do a regular box braid if you choose to. And she kind of has thick hair, so I'm going to go ahead and start braiding her hair down. with knotless, let's remember it is an extension of the client's existing hair. So I'm only going to add in pieces as I go down and as needed. If you follow the rule of 3, you see that I'm only attaching 3 pieces here so that I have 3 equal strands. For full goddess, I'm going to start adding in my curly hair. And you're going to do the same thing that you would do to add in feed-in hair. Make sure you add it to those 2 legs before you cross. What I like to do is do 1 rotation down. That kind of locks everything in, and then I start pulling my pieces out, like so. Now when you go down a couple of more rotations, I give it a little tug to make sure that it's not going to slip out, and then I pull the other end out as well. As I'm braiding, I'm remembering to tuck the natural hair behind the braiding hair. I'm gonna go ahead and add in another piece. I'm going to wrap this piece around these 2 legs. This is my free leg. So I'm gonna wrap these together, basically joining them together, and then continue braiding. And I like to go a couple rotations down before I pull any pieces out. You see that's the natural hair right here. I'm going to go ahead and tuck it behind that hair. You're doing goddess ends, or you have to cap off the braid, you want to go down at least 1 inch past the natural hair length. So I stopped up here somewhere. I want to go about 1 inch or 2 past their natural hair length. That way when they go to take this out, all they got to do is snip where the demarcation is, and they don't have to worry about cutting their own hair. All right, so now that I'm at the end of the braid where I want to stop, I'm going to grab a small piece of the synthetic braiding hair. If you grab the curly end, this is not going to work. You want to grab a small piece, one of the longer legs of the braiding hair. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it. So I'm wrapping this around like so, like you would a faux lock. So I'm basically creating a little tie here. Now I'm going to take my flat iron and I'm going to tap, 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 and I'm basically just melting the synthetic hair, molding it, if you will. I'm going to rub it in my fingers, and there you have a perfectly sealed tied in. No glue, no knots. You don't have to worry about rubber banding it. Love, love, love the look of this. Now we have some excess straight hair here, and then we have our curly ends. Now all that's left to do, you can leave the straight pieces if you want to. Some people like that boho look. I'm gonna go ahead and trim it off. So now there's a full goddess braid with a completely tied in. It's not going to come undone no matter how much water you put on it. Nothing. It's not going to come undone. It doesn't have any knots in it, so you can easily run your hands through it. You also don't have to worry about glue. Glue usually leaves like a white residue, which is not very cute. And boom, beautiful. You notice that the braid is going to be a little bit stiff. There's nothing you can do about that, especially when you have full goddess ends, because we can't dip all of this in the water to soften it up. What you can do, however, is if you have a larger flat iron, you can put it on a lower temp, like around 300, and then you can lightly tap the braid to loosen up the braid. However, it's not really necessary because the braids will loosen up within about a week or so. Now, as far as maintenance goes for the curls, the best thing to do is to, one, sleep at night, wear your hair up in a pineapple or wear your hair in big chunky braids. This keeps the curls from like free flowing and getting tangled up in each other. Mousses are the best thing to use for clumping the curls. I don't really like to use jam. I've seen people use jam on it. It becomes a very sticky mess and it can be very difficult to work with. I've even seen people use Gots2b. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but if it works for you, it works for you. For synthetic hair, I like to use mousses like this. These are like the cheap ones that you can get, like the Aussies and the Garnier Fructis ones, the ones that come in the metal can like this. These are great for clumping synthetic curls because synthetic curls do not absorb a lot of moisture. You need something that's going to clump everything on the outside. So I usually don't use like Lotta Body or Tropical Roots or anything like that because those mousses are designed for natural hair, which soaks up a lot of the moisture in them. There's no sense in wasting your money on those mousses for synthetic curls. Get you something cheap, affordable, comes with a lot, and does what it's supposed to do. Also, as far as how often you use the mousses, it is really just as needed. So through the duration of the style, I will use a regular foam for the roots of the hair, especially if you're wearing knotless, like after I wash it. Putting a setting foam on freshly wet hair and letting it dry down sets the hair in place. And then having one of these for the curls. Often you use the mousses, it's really up to you as a person. If you wash your hair a lot, then you might need to use it more often, especially right after washing the hair and letting it air dry. But if you are following the steps by putting your hair up at night, putting it in the big chunky braids, your morning routine should just consist of you putting a little bit of mousse on your hands, finger combing it out, and calling it a day. You don't want to do any combs or brushes on this hair because it will make it worse. So yeah, that should be everything you need to know about a full goddess braid. All right, so that completes this week's lesson. I hope you had your notes and I hope you were paying attention because this week's pop quiz question comes from this week's lesson. In this week's video, I showed you guys the deep twist hair by Freetress that we use for goddess braids. What color was the hair that I showed you guys? Drop your answers in the comment section below for a chance to be featured in next week's video. Again, whether you're an aspiring braider or a client looking for a braider, drop your questions in the comment sections below and I would be happy to answer them in next week's video. As always, if you learned something, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up because it helps the channel out a whole lot. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out so that you can get more content just like this every week. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight. I will catch you in the next video. Bye.